Welcome to this episode of Ask Dr. Reg. Hey everybody, it's Dr. Regina Nelson with Ask Dr. Reg, and I'm back asking questions that have been submitted to me. If you don't know how to submit a question, information's in the description below, or you can go to my website, reginanelson.com. Submit any question you have on cannabis, health, all these things for free. Maybe I'll answer it here online. So the question today is, why the title Theorist-at-Large for your first book? And Theorist-at-Large was kind of a joke, I thought, between a friend of mine and I. I was doing business cards, and I was like, I need a title. What am I? And this was back in 2012. It was about a year into my PhD program. I had just lived through a death-defying bowel resection surgery, but I was in the midst of rewriting through peer review my first academically submitted and approved journal article for a journal called Integral Theory and Practice. It's actually about leadership in the medical cannabis space, so check it out through Google Scholar. But I put out a book called Theorist-at-Large, and what I was doing when my friend came over, and I needed, if I'm going to put this book out, I'm going to start doing events, I need a business card, and I need a title. What am I? I'm a student, but I'm sick, I'm not working, I'm not really a consultant at this point. I'm writing words, but I don't really know what I'm doing. And Michael and I smoked a joint, and he goes, hey, I have the perfect title for you. I'm like, what's that? And he goes, Theorist-at-Large. I'm like, hey, okay. I hadn't thought of myself as a theorist. And yet, what I published was a theoretical academic article. And my theories of why integral theory and leadership are the future. So with that said, why Theorist-at-Large? Well, I've been in the PhD program about a year. At the end of both of my first and second semesters, the feedback I got from my professors is, you're great. You write these awesome papers, but you cite your sources in like theory and other leadership, excellent. But when it comes to the cannabis stuff, you don't have anybody to cite, and it's weak. And I'm like, well, there isn't anybody to cite. And they're like, no, that can't be true. And I was like, yes, that is true. And I had a frustrated argument discussion with a professor one night, and I got rather snippy, and I was like, why don't you Google Scholar that? And the next day he came back to me, and he was like, okay, Regina, you're not wrong. Have you thought about publishing your own book? And I'm like, no, I'm not ready to publish a book. And he was like, every paper you've written, I feel is worthy to go to peer review. Now, whether it gets through peer review, you're now going through that process. It's hell, and it is. It is hell. You don't have to do that. You could self-publish. You could do a number of things. And he just spouted off a bunch of stuff, and I thought about that. And I went out that night driving around Cincinnati with a peer of mine, smoking cannabis and talking about all the crap that comes up through a PhD residency in ethics and social justice, when he was like, so Reg, just publish your own book. And I was like, hey, maybe I should. And it's what I did. And I have sold quite a few, several thousand of them, which doesn't sound like many, but for a self-published book is huge. I've sold tens of thousands of the Survivor's Guide, but again, mostly at events and things like that where I'm speaking, not necessarily via Amazon sales or via my website. But Theorist-at-Large was put together so I could cite myself for the remainder of my PhD program. Who said that? Nelson said that. And it made my work stronger. Even when I published that first academic article, I quote myself at least 3 times in the article to give substance to the things I'm saying that are fairly common knowledge in the cannabis space, maybe about the use of cannabis or something like that, strains or those type things I could find scientific literature, but it'd be more about the patient experience. And so I did that. I interwoven my personal story and my journey in my PhD program with a lot of essays and articles that I published. And so you can check it out. It is still available either on my website or on Amazon. I get at least 5 or 6 college students every semester that thank me for publishing Theorist-at-Large because it helps them have a credible reference for the material that they want to put in their paper that doesn't seem like they can find very many sources to support, their argument. And there I am, so doing what I can. So that's where Theorist-at-Large came from. Hey everybody, it's Dr. Regina Nelson with Ask Dr. Reg on YouTube. Tune in, like, and subscribe. I would appreciate